Greetings to you once again. You are welcome to uh, our class, um, Research with Dr. A, and I hope you are doing well. Today, I will be speaking on how you, as a postgraduate student, how you can navigate uh, your dissertation and thesis journey. We all know that being a postgraduate student is challenging and is also demanding because it requires certain skills from you, and it also requires your time, and it also requires your creativity, your time management, and also your research skills. So today I'll be sharing with you on how you can navigate this challenging task, how you can manipulate all resources in order to favor you. So join me as we progress. If you are seeing this for this first time, I want you to subscribe to this channel and make comments and also like, so that when we drop new video, new teaching, you can always be notified. Once again, thank you for being part of this today. Let's proceed. Being a postgraduate student, whether you are enrolled for masters or you are enrolled for PhD, it basically requires you to be up and doing because you have some task to do, and this task is for you to actually craft your story, and the story we are talking about has to do with the story excuse me, has to do with the story of research. And your research will always start with what exactly is the problem, why is it a problem, and how is it a problem, and what can you do in order to bring solution to this problem. So these are basically some of the questions your research will be providing answers to. So the first thing for you to decide what is going to be my topic. By topic, we are referring to what is going to be my problem, because every research starts with a problem. And you being a postgraduate student, it means you must be able to identify a particular problem that you want to focus on, a particular problem that you want to explore, a particular problem that you want to seek solutions or seek answers to. So this is the genesis, or this is the beginning of the postgraduate journey for you, because you have to identify carefully and you have to craft a very nice topic, research topic for yourself, looking at the situation, looking at the context, looking at the problem, and see how you can scholarly craft the research topic that you want to focus on. So, having focused on this, we are also going to look at the proposal writing. What does it entail for you to write proposal? What is proposal? And how should I write how should I write my proposal? Should all proposal be written same way? And also, we also look at the literature review. Without literature review, you can't do anything in research. So basically, even your topic selection, we have to be prompted, we have to be driven by literature review, which means based on the literature, based on your personal experience, based on your exposure, based on your society that you find yourself, or based on social issues. So then from there, we move on to the methodology. The methodology refers to the methods that we guide your research. By method, this refers to how you want to collect data, how you want to analyze your data, and what exactly are you looking for when you say you want to collect data. So then also the data collection and analysis, these are critical to your research journey because they have to be clearly, logically, and coherently detailed, so that you can convince your examiners, you can convince your supervisor, you can convince your readers on how you intend to collect data and how you intend to analyze the collected data for your problem. So when you have this, you go into chapter writing. What does it entail to write chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, 4, 5, and 6? Or perhaps you're going to 7. So what does it entail? Then when your chapters are written, they are submitted to your supervisors, and your supervisors, they give you feedback on it. This feedback, how do you handle? How do you respond? How do you react to this feedback from your supervisor? We are also going to talk about this. Then we have come into the process, into the era where, for PhD students most especially, you have to present your study for defense, which is called Viva. So, and most universities have been embracing this. So it means after you have put all this together, there is need for you to present this whole study before a panel, before some people who will serve as your examiners, where you need to present and you will also be questioned, you will also be engaged based on what you have presented or where you are about to present for defense. So let's go further. Selecting a research topic. Like I said, this is always the beginning, the starting point, or how you need to decide what should my topic be. And your most times your research will always be grounded in the curiosity and also the gaps that you have in the literature, which means sometimes your topics uh, will be the product of what you have been finding answers to, or what you have been seeking solutions to in the society, which means by you coming up with a research topic, you must avoid being biased. You must avoid being biased. Being biased means you being sentimental or you being emotional based on certain things. For example, now, if you are a woman and you want to do research that has to do with gender-based violence, you have to separate yourself from this problem you want to explore. So this is where you need to avoid being biased. You need to be objective. Uh, you need to focus on the originality, or you aim for the originality. You focus on the problem and not on your personality, that based on your experience, based on what you have passed through, or based on what you have seen. So when you are trying to um, draft a research topic, definitely there will be many concepts, there will be many ideas, there will be many things that will come to your mind, and which means you will have so many broad scope of what the problem is. So you have to refine this in order for you to get to a sizable or a manageable feasible questions. So this means that for you to select a research topic which is researchable, it has to be original, and the relevance of it must be speaking to the community, must be speaking to the society, must be topical. So it means you choosing or you deciding a topic to explore must be what speaks to the societal problem, what speaks to the gap in the society. By this, we are talking about novelty, we are talking about gaps, we are talking about you being able to provide answers to the problem of the society, not just being fantasized by what is happening in the society, but by being able to say at the end of my research, what will be the significance of my study. So, and also you must make sure that when you are selecting a research topic, you must put into consideration that your topic must be feasible, which means your topic has to be what you can be able to do, you will be able to attain, you will be able to deliver. So it means when you are crafting your topic, you must ensure that the topic you are looking for has to be the one that you can actually conduct, you can actually carry out your research on. So, which means you must consider the availability of information. Where you choose a topic that you don't have information on, you will not be able to complete the study. And also, you must make sure that the information has to be accessible. If it is not what you cannot access, then it means you will not be able. For example, now, if you want to conduct a study that has to do with military, and you know, based on the confidentiality, some things you will not be able to access there, it means you will not be able. So you have to look at the practicability of the topic you are choosing, whether the stakeholders who will be your participant or your respondents will be able to provide um, adequate and appropriate information for you. So the data access is very important, and also you must be able to identify, to establish that indeed this topic you have a supervisor for, because the supervision is very critical to your study. And most times some topics in the university may you may find out that supervisors who can supervise that that um, that problem may not be willing or may not be available for you. So that's another thing, and that's why most times when you are applying for admission offer into the university, you can always be admitted based on whatever concept or whatever proposal you presented for the application or for the admission purpose. And after the admission, you find out that the supervisor will ask you to say you need to refine, you need to rework your what do we call it now? The topic of your submitted proposal. So this is another thing. And also the resources. The resources refer to what you need in order for you to collect, in order for you to process the information that will be necessary for your research. Writing a research proposal now, you have chosen a topic. You have chosen a topic and the topic has been approved by your supervisor, and the next thing the supervisor tells you to say, go and write a proposal. Now, what is a proposal? Proposal is an academic document that actually provide blueprint to what you intend to do as far as your research is concerned. So, and in this research proposal, you are expected to present clear research question and significance, which means you need to define what exactly your proposal is all about. What exactly is your problem about? What exactly is your research all about? And for every choice you make in research, you have to justify why. So you don't just choose for the sake of the beauty, you don't just choose for the sake of emotion, you don't just choose for the sake of sentiment, you don't just choose for the sake of my friends are doing this, or because my people around me they are into this. So you have to define and also justify why a particular choice of yours is adopted or will be employed in your research. Now, you have the literature context. Of course, your literature will always be situated, your research will always be situated within the extant literature, which means the existing literature that you have will be what will guide you in your research. And this is why it is always said that when you are doing research, you have to stand on the shoulders of the giants. The shoulders of the giant that is being referred to in research has to do with scholars who have published, who have done something close to your research. You have to justify your arguments based on what these scholars have done. So, which means you must give yourself to extensive reading. If you can't read, you won't be able to go far in research, because out of the abundance of what you are reading, is what you can also write abundantly. So in research, what you don't have, you cannot give, which means if you don't read extensively, you will be limited in your writing. But if you can give yourself to extensive reading, it means you will be able to write creatively in your research. So the methodology outline is where you need to describe what methods are you using. Are you using qualitative? Are you using quantitative? Are you using mixed method? If you are using qualitative, why are you using qualitative? If you are using quantitative, why is this topic quantitative? And you must know that most times students, scholars, or postgraduate students always preempt to say, I'm going for this postgraduate study and I want to do qualitative. And this is not always the case because you cannot choose your method without knowing what your topic will be, what your research questions will be, what your research methodologies will be. These are the indices, these are the indicators that will actually determine whether you are going qualitative or quantitative or mixed method. So the methodology, we carefully outline what methods and why are you choosing the methods. Then, in writing your research proposal, you also need to clearly explain your plan and the practicality of what you are about to do, which means you indicate every process, every procedure that you want to do, you want to apply in your research. And by this, you also need to what? Allocate time to say, my research, my data collection will be for 1 month. My research proposal, I will write it in 3 weeks. Feedback on it will be within 1 week. Corrections will be done. So these are what is meant by timeline. Then you also need to indicate the resources that will be needed, that you will be needing for your research study, which include will you be needing books? Will you be needing other materials? So you just need to indicate what and what you need in order for this research to be successfully conducted or carried out. And also references. You must understand what style of references are you going to use for in-text and also for the list of your references. Some university goes for APA, American Psychology Association. Some university go for Harvard. Some university they go for or IEEE. So you and others go for AMA. So you need to understand how to uh, cite correctly and how to write the references correctly based on your university specification. Conducting the literature, yes, literature is very critical in your research because, like I said, the more you read, the more you can write. So, how do you conduct the literature review? You have to define the scope. By defining the scope means you must establish the criteria and the boundaries of what exactly you are looking for in the existing literature that you have related to your study. And by this, most time, you will always be guided by your research objectives, which means your research objectives as well as your research topic, will be what will guide you on what you are looking for. So I'll give you an example to say, if you put your topic as it is, put it in the search bar of Google Scholar, it will pop out related studies to that your research topic. And from there, you begin to explore to see which one speaks to your study. You have to search broadly and strategically different databases and tools that can assist you. By databases, we are talking about Google Scholar, we are talking about Scopus, we are talking about Web of Science, and some other ones that you can explore. With Google Scholar, you have access to millions of publications that you can explore for the relevance to your own study. So also Scopus has got lots of publications that you can. Same thing goes with a Web of Scholar, Web of Science. So all these databases, they can actually provide uh, different perspective of uh, literature information to you. So you need to assess, and the good thing about these databases is you can actually filter what you want. For example, now you can filter the year, like you can say Google Scholar, I only want publication from 2010 to 2025. I only want publication from on higher education, want publications on social science, on education. So these are the aspects of the filtering that you can do in all these databases. And after you have done this, you also need to critically evaluate all this information. Don't forget that you have searched databases in order to retrieve different information. So now this information that you have been provided, I said, you can have access to thousands of publications on any of these databases. Now, how do you analyze, how do you synthesize, not just summarize? Because that's another skill you need to learn, that when you are doing literature review, you are not just reporting, you are not just summarizing what scholar A has written or scholar B has written. You have to critically engage yourself with this with the information from these scholars. And by engaging yourself, it means you have to analyze what exactly is this scholar A saying about this problem? What exactly is this scholar B saying about this problem? What exactly this scholar C from this location, from this country saying about this problem? So all this information, you have to learn how you can craft them together using your creativity without losing the message, losing the content, losing the quality of what these scholars are saying. So you have to learn how you can analyze and also synthesize the information. Um, you can do this by organizing what you have assessed or you are assessing from various scholars into themes. By using different themes, it will highlight the trends and also the knowledge uh, that you can establish from what these people are saying. Uh, Research, design, and methodology. By research, design, and methodology, we are referring to how you can how you can choose, how you can align your research questions. And which means, like I said earlier on, that when we talk about research design and methodology, we have qualitative, we have quantitative, we have mixed methods. So for you to decide, am I using qualitative, am I using quantitative, am I using mixed method? It is your research questions, it is your research topic that will actually give you direction on what you need to use, which of the design will be appropriate. And you have to justify why a particular design is being selected by you for a particular topic. So you must specify and also justify each method that you choose. If you choose to use interview guide, you must also indicate why are you using semi-structured interview. If you choose to use questionnaire, you also need to specify what type of questionnaire and why are you using the questionnaire. You don't just choose for the sake of, let me just use questionnaire. So you also need to specify the techniques. What are your sampling techniques? What are your sampling techniques? You must know. We have probability technique and we have non-probability technique. I'm using purposive sampling. I'm using random sampling. How? Why? So these you must specify why you are using. So research is not just about you writing, it's about you making a choice, justify why you are making that choice, and citing references from scholars who have published on what you are talking about. Then, in research design and methodology, you have to clearly explain the ethics and the feasibility of your research. By ethics, you talk about the regulations, the standards that apply to what you are doing in research. You are dealing with learners. How do you assess these learners? What are the things you need to respect dealing with this learner? You are dealing with minors. What are those things that you need to consider? This refer to the ethics. What is the starting point of you? You have just chosen your topic. Will you just go out there and start collecting data? If you cannot go out there, what is it that you need to do? And how do you need to? These are some of the things that you need to carefully, clearly, logically, and coherently explain in your research, design, and methodology. So you must be able to provide enough evidence, enough explanation on how you need to address the issues of approval, the issues of access to your participant or to your respondent. Then you are also going to explain that how you are going to ensure that the process is rigorous and transparent in whatever it is you are doing, as well as providing rationale for whatever it is you are doing in research. From this, you move to your data collection and analysis. Like I said at the beginning, that research has to do with you going out there to collect the information. Now, the collection of information is the one we call data collection, and you have to explain, um, clarify what you are collecting as data, as information from the people, and who are these people that will provide this information, and what exactly do you want from them, and how do you want it from them, and when do you want it from them. So this is the data collection and analysis basically talk about the systematic data collection process, where you need to explain how consistent your protocols will be. You are using instrument. If you are using questionnaire, the questionnaire will be administered to 500 participant respondent. So which means you are using the same questionnaire that has the same question to all the 500 respondents. If you are interviewing 10 people, you specify to say, this is the interview guide that I'm using to interview participant A, B, C, D. If you are using different interview guide, you also need to specify why you are using different interview guide for this set of group of people and for this set of people. So research goes with you explaining and not you assuming that some people will understand why you are using A and not B. So also in data collection and analysis, you have to specify clearly the appropriate method, how appropriate the methods you are using, how appropriate are they, be it qualitative, be it quantitative, or mixed method. So you cannot be using qualitative where you are supposed to be using quantitative, and you cannot be using quantitative where you are supposed to be using qualitative. So you need to choose carefully, and you also need to explain why a particular method is being used with justification. Now, the rigorous data analysis is where you need to analyze the collected data from the respondent or the participant, be it as it may be, based on the method you are using. So you have to explain this systematic process of you scientifically processing the collected information or data from the participant or the respondent. You also need to specify, if you are using software, what software are you using and what type of software are you using and why are you using the software. And maybe you also need to specify the the specification of that software. So then the coding process, you also need to clearly explain the coding process as well as the statistics. Who are these participants? Who are these respondents? Who are they? Talking about their age, talking about the gender, talking about their experience, talking about their other future characteristics, so that it will clearly explain the process, the procedure of you collecting data from particular set of people or group. You also need to clearly explain the accuracy and integrity of what you are doing in the in the in the in your data collection, as well as in analysis, in order to maintain reliability as well as the ethical practices that go with what you are saying. So from there, you move to the point where you need to write. You have collected the data, you have analyzed. Now you need to put everything, now begin to put them into draft. Writing the thesis chapters, like I said, for some thesis or dissertation, it may be 5 chapters, it may be 6 chapters, depending on what your supervisor wants. For example, if I say 5 chapters, it means chapter 1 will be orientation to the study, chapter 2, literature and theoretical framework, chapter 3, research methodology, chapter 4, data, chapter 4 will be the findings, presentation of findings, and chapter 5, summary, conclusion, recommendation. In some cases, you can have chapter 2, which is literature and theoretical framework, being splitted into 2 chapters, which means chapter 2 can be theoretical framework and chapter 3 would be literature review. So it depends on your, then in some cases, it may even be more than 6 based on what the supervisor wants. For example, for some people whose study will be mixed methodology, when you get to where you need to present the finding, the result, you find out that each of these design, which is qualitative, quantitative, which we call mixed method now. Your supervisor may advise that each of them may take separate chapter, which means maybe, for example, now you say chapter 5, qualitative result, chapter 6, quantitative result. So that's why I said when it comes to that aspect, your supervisor will actually specify how many chapters your research should be. But generally, we know that research, we always have thesis chapters or dissertation chapters that will always be one, introduction, another chapter for literature review, another chapter for methodology, another chapter for results, another chapter for discussion, another chapter for conclusion. So, like I said, this can always be played around with based on your supervisor and also the university. Now, when you have written and submitted, you'll be waiting for feedback, revisions from these chapters you have written. You need to prepare your mind that what you have written may not be the best, because when you are writing in research, there will always be 2 sides. Somebody who is writing for another person to read, somebody who is writing for another person to what? To supervise. So when you are writing to convince your supervisor. So if your supervisor reviews, he or she will give you feedback, and this feedback to you, you have to take it in good faith, because you must know that that is why the supervisor is there to guide you, to correct you, and to assist you, to support you. So don't feel so bad, so don't feel so sad when you get feedback from your supervisor and it's full of comments. Sometimes the comments may not be that palatable to you, or may not be what you want. Sometimes the comment may be discouraging. Sometimes the comments may not be constructive ones. Maybe some supervisors may give you comments that may even be condemning, that will be destructive. And to some of you, you may look at it to say, so this person is saying, I don't do anything, I don't know anything. So don't take it that way, because supervision also is also another ball game entirely. So you must prepare your mind whenever you are receiving feedback from your supervisor, which means you must embrace the revisions. You must embrace those feedback as constructive, what will build you. Uh, Remember that who is supervising you today has also gone through that path, has also gone through that journey, through that route. So if the jewelry, the gold you are using today has not passed through the fire, it won't be attractive to you. So always prepare your mind that you want to be, you are willing and you are ready to always accept and to always prepare to make corrections accordingly. So when it comes, try to look at the feedback from your supervisor into actionable task, how you want to approach it. Sometimes the supervisor may indicate to say there is no enough evidence on what you are saying. Sometimes the supervisor may indicate that your references may is too outdated, or sometimes the supervisor may indicate that you are not making any valid arguments in this sentence. So it's just for you to put your feedback into actionable task. What and what are these comments about? The one that talks about old sources, the references, which means you have to seek, you have to search for recent references. The one that talks about your grammatical error, which means you have to find a way of ensuring that your draft is read many times before you submit, or is given to someone who can assist you with language editing. So just try to organize the feedback into actionable tasks, which will be very easy for you to navigate. Then you can always seek clarifications and guidance from your supervisor whenever you are confused. If you are not sure of what is expected of you, or you think you have given your best, but yet the supervisor is saying, no, this does not make meaning, you can always seek clarification and guidance on what is expected of you, to say, Prof or Doc, can you please assist me? I don't understand what you mean in this sentence or in this comment. So this will give you more clarity, and we also provide more information for you, and it will move you forward in your research. So, and when you are done with your revision, don't just be too eager, don't just be in a hurry to submit. Take your time to revise, to review, and make sure that what you are doing, there is coherent in it. Now, let me also emphasize this, that academic writing entails you having the knowledge. You are responsible for whatever it is you are writing. So it means you have to be knowledgeable of what you are writing. And by knowledgeable, it means you have to read extensively. Like I said at the beginning, that the more you read, the more you can write. So if you read 10 articles, it means you will be limited to 10, compared to somebody who read 50, compared to someone who read 100, compared to someone who has read over 200 articles. So this is one thing in research. The more you read, the more you can write. Now, in research, we also expect you to write coherently, which means what you are writing must be coherent. You don't write starting from 1, jumping to 5. That is the coherence there now. Then logical, whatever it is you are putting up as argument, as statement, as submission, must be what? Must be logical. So you must present logical arguments. And that's why we talk about the clarity, the coherence, and the logical arguments. So don't forget, you have to take note that this, and also the creativity. You must learn how you can bring in creativity into your writing. So this is very, very important for you in research journey. Preparing for defense will only come after your supervisor is satisfied with what you have written. And now it's being presented to the external examiner to say you have been able to put together this beautiful draft. And having put this together, you are also going to defend your study. And for you to defend your study, first thing first is you must have in-depth understanding of your story, of your study, which means you must know your work thoroughly, because examiners will always ask questions based on what you have put together as your draft. So it means if your draft is 200 pages, the examiners will ask questions from those 200 pages. If your thesis is 350 pages, examiners will not go outside that 350 pages. So it means the onus is on you for you to know your story from page 1 up to the last page of your draft. So you are also expected to practice your presentation before the day, before the time. You can do this with your colleagues, with your friends, and time yourself to see whether you can speak within the time. And which means practicing your presentation for defense includes you being able to project your voice clearly, you being able to present your argument clearly, you being able to present your argument in coherent manner and also logical. Why also you take into consideration the timing, because you will not be given forever to present. So it means you must know how many minutes will be allocated to you, so that whatever it is you want to say for your dissertation will be within the minutes. It will be so embarrassing if you get to a point that the timekeeper is telling you to say, you have 1 minute left, and whereas you are still far away from concluding the study. So you have to practice for you to know. So this will lead you to what we call mock defenses, where you need to practice before some people, before some colleagues, before some of your mates, in order for them to tell you whether you are on point or you are not on point. Then you must also plan logistics and backup. By logistic and plan backup means you need to design your slide PowerPoints, and you need to have printouts that will be given to, in some cases, to your examiners or the members of the panel. Then also, importantly, your attire on that day is another critical part. You have to take note of what you will be wearing while you are presenting your study. And by that, it means you have to understand that academic defense is an official thing. So you are expected to present, to dress, to be in attire that is official. Then prepare yourself for question and answer, because questions and answer will arise at the end of the day. So by this, you must be able to show your confidence, that you believe yourself, you believe in your study, you believe in your story, and you must be honest with what you are giving your examiners. Why also, whatever it is you are presenting must be thoughtfulness to them, to say what you are saying is actually making sense for them, that they can critically engage with you, they can understand, and they can believe in your story.